So for this one, I wasn't really sure what to really talk about that much. So since it's gonna be a Fortnite video, I'm gonna be talking to you about the Fortnite seasons and what I think about them. Now, there's a total of 5 chapters, including OG, which that would be 6. But I want to go through them in order that they released and tell you how I feel or which are my favorite and talk about key moments in each of them. That way you can know a little bit. Starting off, Chapter 1. Chapter 1 was very simple, very easy. Chapter 1, Season 1, sorry, was very simple, was very easy. It made things super easy for people, but the game was still a bit challenging because not everybody knew how to play it. Everybody was kind of bad, and that was the fun thing about the early seasons, the early stages of Fortnite, was that nobody really wasn't that good up until later on. So it was pretty cool. Chapter 1, Season 1 was okay. It wasn't the best. It had just simple stuff, but it wasn't what it is today. Chapter 1, Season 2. This added the Battle Pass and it updated the map. And the background for this season was Knights. This is what introduced the OG Black Knight and the 2 Royal Guard skins and a bunch of really OG stuff. This season I played maybe the last month of it, but I didn't manage to get a win. And that's one thing that I kind of regret a little bit, was not getting that win, but it's okay. It was just an umbrella. I only played this for a little bit, and at the time I was really hooked on GTA Online, and then this game started to come out, but I did play it here and there, but it was cool. If I had experienced it, I think it would have been higher up for me. And this was still a really good season. And this, if you played during this season, you were considered OG. Now we get to my season, Chapter 1, Season 3. This updated the map a little bit more, and this is where the Fortnite story began. This season was revolved around astronauts mainly. You had the Dark Voyager, and then you had the 2 regular astronaut skins. You also had the off-brand John Wick, like the one in the video, but don't watch the video, go to sleep. And then the OG Rust Lord and the OG Scout, the OG Agent skin. This brought the Battle Pass from 70 up to 100. This also is what had so much stuff to it, and this is when the updates started to get really big for the game. They started to add more and more things, more and more weapons, more and more characters, and the game by this point was really blowing up, and it was just getting bigger and bigger. This is one of my favorite seasons. It isn't my favorite, but it's one of them. It was so much fun getting my first solo win by myself, even though I had a really bad internet and it made things challenging. I still managed to get my first win with the astronaut skin. really scared because you would tell yourself, oh my god, they're really good at the game, or they're pros at the game. And that's how I felt. That's how I felt a lot of the times. But I really did like this season. This also introduced the hand cannon, which is like the Desert Eagle. It also introduced the heavy shotgun, which at the time was the third variant for a shotgun, and vending machines where you could start buying stuff from places. And I believe Tilted Tower, no, that was the season before, but this season was really good. Next, you have Chapter 1, Season 4, probably arguably one of my favorite seasons because of how much stuff this had. This season was based off of superheroes, off of off-brand superheroes. You had two skins that were kind of like good guy, bad guy. You had like an off-brand Wonder Woman. You had like a soldier skin and someone else. But this skin was so much fun. This introduced the comet that would float over the map, and it crashed it into the center of the map, and it destroyed half of Dusty Divot. And they began to really update the game, and changing in and adding little things and little maps here and there. And this is when the game was really popular. And this, I believe, was the first time we ever got a live event, almost in like any video game. And it was the rocket. The rocket launched up into the air, and it created a rift. And this was so cool because no game had ever done it, to where everybody that's playing the game currently can experience a live event, and everybody was there. I was there for that, and it was so cool. And it was just so cool. This, like I said, it was about superheroes, so it was kind of like heroes versus villains, which was cool. And then this is actually when we get our first ever collab, which was the Marvel Gauntlet. It was the Marvel Thanos Gauntlet, where you could be Thanos and use the gauntlet, and you could shoot a power laser beam, or you could hit people for so much health. That was really cool and such a different thing. And then this introduced the shopping cart that you can push around and have somebody in, and the thermal scoped AR, which was okay, but it's not really the best. But this season was one of my favorites, if not my favorite. Next, Chapter 1, Season 5, another one of my top seasons. This is what introduced Kevin the Cube, the first proper vehicle, which was the ATK. It's a little golf cart, and toys. By toys, that I mean the football, the frisbee, the golf ball, the soccer ball, the basketball. It introduced these, which was really cool. This season was about like different like worlds collide. You had like Vikings and ninjas, and I don't remember all the skins, but you did have a good amount, which was really cool. This season had so many different places, a Viking village, a golf course. It was just so cool. And then Kevin came out of nowhere. And then Loot Lake started to change. It had so many different things. They added more movement. They added new SMGs, the heavy sniper rifle, which is one of my favorite weapons of all time, and the Rift to Go, where it's like a pocket transportation. This was a really good season. All the skins were really good in the battle pass. You had Drift, which is one of my favorite, Ragnarok. You had so many, and these were really good. And this season was a really good season. It was so much fun. I think I got into a little bit of competitive with this season, but because of my internet, I really couldn't go that far. But it was still fun to experience. Next, Chapter 1, Season 6. This introduced the floating island, weekly challenges, and notably pet backblings, little dogs and cats and creatures that can go on your back, that can go with you. This season, Chapter 1, Season 6, was more based, I like to say, kind of like a Halloween, where you had like a vampire girl, you have a DJ guy. To me, I like to say this was the Halloween season, which I think it was. This also introduced lobby music, where you can do the battle pass, get music disc to change your background music in the menu and in the shop and all that, which is okay. And this introduced another kind of proper vehicle, the Quad Crasher. This was a four-wheeling ATK that had like a barricade in the front of it, and that had nitrous in the back. A lot of people would use it to fly across the map, and it was really cool, really cool. You could do so many stunts on that car, or on that bike, I guess, and it was really cool. This also introduced the first AI enemies, which were cube monsters, essentially just zombies. So it wasn't too bad, but this season I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was the best. It was kind of like a filler season, in my opinion. Next, we go on to Chapter 1, Season 7. This season was cool. This was, I believe, this was the Christmas season. This one you had the Ice King and you had Lynx, and this season was really cool. This introduced the creative mode, where you could join the map with nobody in it and just mess around, or join in with 100 friends and just do stuff like that. This also introduced a very controversial, the Stormwing, which is a fighter pilot jet. The driver can shoot missiles out of it and crash into buildings, and your team can actually be on top of your jet flying with you. This was very controversial because you could just completely demolish people's builds and just kill them instantly and do all these things, when it's kind of tough it's kind of tough to fight back, because you're kind of limited, and you would just get swamped on, which was really bad. But like I said, this was the Christmas season, a bunch of cool stuff. I think we also got free stuff, and yeah, this was really cool. And I think this is the season that introduced the Blade Ice King is, there was a blade, and when it first came out, it was so OP. It would just slash through all the builds. It would give you an extra, I believe, 150, 200 health, which at the time was a lot. And you could just swing the sword around and just go through so many different things, which was really, really cool. But they ended up taking it out because of what happened. I was able to use it early on, which I was happy about. And then for Christmas, we got a 14 days of Fortnite Christmas event. So they added the zipline. Oh, it was called the Infinity Blade, but they added zip lines. And you can do so many other things. And this season was cool. Next, we have Chapter 1, Season 8. This season is where we get the legendary Peely skin. And this one kinda was like Lava Paradise season, where they added kinda like pirates with like a big ship. They added a volcano. They added like Aztec stone place, and it wasn't that bad. This also introduced the baller. Which was a little ball you can spin around in, and it had a little plunger at the end of it that you could stick to and just travel around with. This also introduced food consumables, so you could eat cabbages, not tomatoes, cabbages, corns, apples, stuff like that to get health, or mushrooms too to get shield. It's really cool. It's also introduced the reboot van and cards, because I believe at the time Apex was out and they had this feature where you could bring back your friends if they died, but Fortnite didn't have that. Once you got knocked and you got fully killed, you couldn't come back for the rest of the game. And they introduced this where you pick up a card, you reboot them, and your teammates come back. They also added traversal emotes where you could walk and emote, or you can do stuff emoting opposed to just staying in one place to emote, which was cool. They also added assisting in challenges, which I don't think they do that really anymore, to where if there was a challenge that was hard, you could pick one that you could get assisted on, and then y'all can work on it together, which was really cool. This is where and the volcano came out during the season. At the end, well, I won't spoil that yet. This also introduced the grappling hooks to help travel around the reboot van. But the way the season ended was that the volcano actually erupted, and it blew up a bunch of different places that people really liked. That's how the season ended on the last day. Next, we have Chapter 1, Season 9. This was like a futuristic season. This had different things. So you had after the volcano erupted, some of the places became futuristic, like Rizzo Row got fancy, and Tilted Towers got a major upgrade. I think it's called Neon Tilted, and it was really cool. And now the Ice, and at the time the Ice King had a creature called the Devourer in his castle, but when the volcano erupted, he was free and he was swimming in the waters. So some Fortnite people created the Mega Team later, which was the bear that had like different body parts from different robots to fight it, which was really cool. This season also introduced the Chug Splash, which are the little six packs that you can throw and give you health and shield. This also introduced the combat shotgun, which was like a semi-automatic shotgun, and it was so overpowered. You could put 10 shots in it and just, it was right in the middle of pump damage and at the time tank damage, and it was really good. This also introduced loot drones, where you would shoot them down and you could get pretty good weaponry from high to low, and just, it was really, this season was okay. I didn't think it was the best, but I still enjoyed it. Now we get to the season finale, which is chapter 1, season X. In this season, we get arguably the biggest complaint of Fortnite of all time: the mecha suits. These mecha suits, for the first couple weeks, first maybe months of the new season, were the worst thing ever. If someone got into a mech suit, all they had to do was stomp the ground around you, shoot the missile, shoot the shotgun, and they could just pulverize you, go through your builds, and just demolish you and your team. And there's nothing, and I mean nothing, you could do about it. This was the worst thing possible. This also introduced DC collabs, new missions, and then gaming legend skins. This introduced different biomes. It introduced the Borderlands biome. It introduced the Gotham City, Taco Tuesday, Zombie Row, No Bill Tilted, Little Mexico. There was different places. And the way this season ended was that the black hole actually got messed up and more missiles went into it, and it sucked the map into the black hole. And then the downtime, we had to wait for, if I'm not mistaken, we had to wait for about 4 days before they brought the new map up. And so many parents were mad. They wanted refunds and stuff for their kids because they couldn't play it anymore, but just because they couldn't wait. But after a while, everything got back up. Now we get to chapter 2, season 1. This introduced a new map, new characters, new basic elements, and things like that. This also introduced water, and I mean water like swimming water, being able to fish and do that. This also introduced upgrade benches where you can upgrade your weapons from blue to purple, or from gray to green, green to blue, blue to purple, purple to gold. This also introduced sync emotes where you could do emotes with your buddies, and the icon skins, which would be like a ninja skin and stuff like that. This season was decent. It had like a good and dark side per skin. You could get one skin and it would be a good guy, and then you could unlock the bad guy version of the skin, which wasn't bad. The only bad thing about this season was that it felt too simple. There wasn't that much in it, and it lasted too long. Which I think is what kind of got some people to step away from it for a little bit. But then we get amazing season, Chapter 2, Season 2. This is what introduced Midas, Meowsicles, Brute, Tiantina, and Sky. This introduced a shakedown where you can actually knock somebody, shake them down, get information on their teammates, where they're at. And this introduced the mythic meta, which is a tier above gold, about gold weapons, where you get mythics, which was cool. You get AI bosser on the map, which kinda messed up the game here and there, but they wouldn't get in the way. This also introduced battle pass skin options, where you had a choice to either get one skin or get the other skin, which at first I kinda didn't like, but you know, it is what it is. This is the season that also introduced Deadpool, and this season was really cool. You had key cards, you had more Marvel stuff, you had Star Wars stuff, you had lightsabers that we could use, and then you could pick either Shadow or Ghost per skin, which was really cool. Then we get to Chapter 2, Season 3. This season was kinda more based on water. You had more like sea people. This is what introduced Aquaman. This also introduced sharks, fire mechanics, fully cars, and a upgrade and a customizable umbrella. So this season at first started off overflown with water. Everything was overflown. As weeks went by, the water would slowly deteriorate and more of the map would come up. You could use whirlpools, you can actually use cars and trucks to drive around. You can start fires and do stuff like that. This season was okay. Then we get to a heavy collab season, which was Chapter 2, Season 4. This season was the Marvel season. This season had Iron Man, Groot, Thor, Doctor Doom, She-Hulk, Storm, Mystique, and Wolverine. And I guess Rocket, since he's a back bling, but this introduced so many skins, and it was just Galactus. And the next, this introduced all of these skins, and this had so many different elements, which was cool. You can get the Doom Bomb, you can get the Groot Ball, you can get the Iron Man Blaster, the Hulk Punches, and the Wolverine Claws, which was really cool. I really liked this season, of course, because of that. Chapter 2, Season 5. This is what introduced the 0 point that brought in so many different elements. This is what introduced bounty hunters, right? Man cakes, a gladiator, some hybrid creature girls. This is what introduced the first anime type skin, Mandalorian, and the other bounty hunters, which was cool. It introduced the gold bar currency that we still use today. It introduced the Fortnite crew. This season was pretty cool. There were different mechanics. It introduced so many video game franchises: Street Fighter, Halo, Terminator, Aliens. It introduced so much because of the 0 point. This season was cool. And then you could use different weapons, Mando Sniper, stuff like that. But I think I kind of got over this season after a while. Next, we have